The heat was all over me, almost engulfing. All I heard were screams and the sounds of glass breaking, wood falling. Beneath my feet, the shards pierced the rubber soles and had begun to dig into my heels. What did I expect? Working for the Russian Mafia, surely this day was going to come, and it did. I had barely clocked out for the day when the SUVs rolled in and the gunshots started. All coming after one person, Sergiei Volkov, my boss. The moment my mind went to him, my feet changed direction. I ran further into the house rather than out of it, searching frantically through every room I passed by. By the time I got to his office, I thought I was too late. I saw him sprawled on his chair and passed out. I ran toward him and checked his breathing. And surely the son of a bitch was still alive, though barely by the skin of his teeth. I tapped him to wake him up. "Mr. Volkov, Mr. Volkov, wake up." His eyes fluttered open slightly. "Nikolai, what is it?" "I have to get you out of here, sir. The house is going down, and they think you're dead." Pulling him out of the house was a hassle, since he just had to be the strongest brick that ever existed. The things I do for loyalty. Flashback, 3 months ago. Living in the Volkov villa was essentially a dream. Unlimited protection, hard but rewarding work. I should know, having lived there the better part of 10 years. As employees, we aren't privy to the business holdings of the Volkov family. Dinners and parties are something of a dog and pony show to show off profitability margins and the like. Winning and dining with the most dangerous of folks in the inventory business certainly seemed like it had its perks. But if there were any, Sergei seemed to either not care or them, or was very good at hiding it. Sergei Volkov took control of the enterprise a little over 5 years ago. Since then, it had become much quieter within the villa. Lucky for me, I had very little to no contact with him. But he still had that aura of mystery that everyone in the staff quarters gossiped about him, making up stories that could explain his type of person. What if he has a secret harem hidden somewhere on the grounds? Svetlana theorized. That sent a laugh round the room as Olga poured herself a cup of tea. "Harems don't seem like his style," Pavel said, then lowered his voice and leaned in. "He doesn't even seem like he's attracted to women much. Ever heard of a harem of men then?" "Anything's possible," Ivana chipped in. "Nikolai, what do you think?" Anton asked, taking a seat next to me. "Why are you asking me?" "Because your position is closest to his as far as work goes." "Oh well, I honestly can't put a finger on it. He's extremely mysterious, but I am glad I don't have anything to do with him. I don't think I could handle it." Just then, Mikhail walked in and called me to his office. "Nikolai, you've been requested. Mr. Volkov wants someone trustworthy in his quarters, and I have recommended you. You start first thing in the morning. Please, I have no interest in your complaints. You feel so bad, take it up with Mr. Volkov yourself." "But sir, why me?" I asked, silently hating myself for jinxing everything. "Did you not hear what I said? I don't have to answer to you, and I will not answer to you. Please report to your new post in the morning." I walked out of the room, annoyed and pissed. I didn't know what to expect when I got to his quarters the next morning, but I knew I didn't want to find out. Unfortunately, I had no choice in the matter. Like the American saying goes, I have to pull myself up by my bootstraps or whatever. God help me. 1 week later, so far, so good. I had only been privy to Mr. Volkov's presence once in the whole week I'd been here. I was willing to go to this new job with even more gusto than my last position, mostly because I had a significant raise. And I was free of the clutches of the staff quarters most of the time, which just meant more peace and quiet. Don't get me wrong. I like them all. But they truly tire me out more times than not. Unlucky for me, it seemed my luck seemed to run out quickly because I wanted to get an early start on my day. I walked into his dressing room an hour earlier than usual and was greeted with the glorious sight of Sergei Volkov in his birthday suit and illuminated by the reflection of the standing mirror. I froze in my spot. eyes stuck on the magnificently sculpted buttocks he held on his behind. I had more than enough time to scurry out of the room with my integrity and a good chunk of my dignity, but it seemed my brain had fuck all reasons to give the order to my feet to move. It came as no surprise then that when Sergei turned to get his underwear, his eye fell on the stupid and silly manservant who was definitely out of a job within the next few minutes. His deep baritone voice brought my eyes from his extremely endowed member to his Michelangelo sculpted torso, and locked into his intimidating and inviting icy blue eyes. "What are you doing here?" My voice didn't help matters when it refused to budge, causing Sergei to ask again. Eventually, my voice found the sound. "I'm sorry, sir. I wanted to come in early before you were here. I miscalculated. I'll leave now." My back had fully met his face when he stopped me. "Is there a reason you lingered after you saw me?" An immaculate loss for words. That was what I was. I searched every possible location for the answer to his question, but was unable to find anything. Not even a lie. And the truth was a no-brainer. I admit I was never the smartest person in any room, but I always thought I'd at least have my wits about me. Here I was, though, proven very, very wrong. So, I just stood there, mouth agape, opening and closing. A lack of sound evident in its escape. I was surely getting fired. Sergei stifled a chuckle, however, and I saw his lips lift in a small smirk. It was very small, so I was sure I had hallucinated it. "Just come back in an hour. I'd be out of your way then." Not willing to trust my voice even now, I nodded and forced my feet out of the room, ready to jump off the highest point of the villa out of embarrassment. Great first impression, Nikolai. Just great. 2 weeks later. Not to toot my own horn, but I had managed to avoid any further altercations with Sergei and sculpted goodness. Though just as a thought, I could have sworn I had caught Sergei watching me a few times, but nothing excessive enough to be seen as a problem. One afternoon, though, my luck seemed to run out yet again. Sorting through Sergei's files and documents had become part of my job description, a job I seemed to have taken over from Mikhail. I was reorganizing Sergei's office desk when it felt like I was being watched. I thought nothing of it at first, thinking it was one of the guards overlooking his boss's office, or one of the other staff members lurking and peeking around, looking to gossip about Sergei yet again. The feeling persisted much longer than expected, forcing me to look up. Fortunately for me, my guesses were all wrong, so Mikhail couldn't blame me for slacking about my duties or getting distracted. Unfortunately, however, I hadn't expected the icy blue eyes and soft curl-framed face to stare back at me, watching me with the silence of a mouse. Saliva got caught in my throat when I saw Sergei leaning on the wall, his curls falling just so, his custom suit unbuttoned and hanging by his side. Yes, I was choking on my own spit at the sight of my hot boss. I am exceptionally fucked. After a minute or two of near-death choking, I looked up and found Sergei watching me. An amused look spread across his face. I gathered myself. "I'm sorry, sir. Do you want to use the office?" He only shook his head. I was standing like a lost puppy, unsure of what to do, and feeling like I was in the middle of the 1880s in English aristocratic service. I watched as his eyes silently raked over me, washing an odd feeling over me. I wasn't the kind to let go of my sensibilities. But it seemed as though every moment around Sergei Volkov was undoing every bit of my self-control. And I didn't seem to hate it. The ghost of a smile played on his lips. "Please don't mind me, as you were." He expected me to keep working while he hovered over me, pushing my sanity to its limits. No wonder he's called the most ruthless lord in decades. Regardless, I attempt to put him out of my mind and put my work back in its place while he stood at the door, analyzing and observing me like I was some guns he was inspecting before buying. If that wasn't enough, Sergei eventually walked over to the desk and sat on it so that he was mere inches away from me. "So, this is what you do while I'm out all day?" Yes, sir. Can I help you with anything?" Why do you ask? Do I make you nervous? It's just that, sir. It's hard to do a job well when under certain scrutiny. Tell me, Nikolai, what do the people downstairs think of me? I was stunned. It had started to look like a page out of the Bible. And I was Peter, while Sergei was Jesus, without all the holiness, of course. I don't follow, sir, I replied. Simple. Evasive. I know I'm not the most forthcoming person ever, so I'm certain there's a rumor about me going around the villa. I just want to know what they are. Some of them might be funny, some might be bad, but I assure you it's going to be entertaining for me all the same. He crossed his arms and leaned forward on the desk. I'm sorry, sir, but I'm not sure I'm the person to give you that answer. He furrowed his brows. And why is that? I gulped, looking everywhere but him. Because I wouldn't want to offend you, sir. Mikhail told me you were reliable, and so far I haven't found you wanting, Nikolai. Now I just want to have a regular conversation with you and get to know you. I'm sorry, sir, but I have to assume you don't have these kinds of conversations with your men or other subordinates. Maybe, but I think I'd like to know the man I'm choosing to be my right hand well enough, no? He cocked his head to the side. I don't understand, sir, I said, gaping at him. My hands abandoned the organizing I was doing. I figured that would get you to stop avoiding looking at me. He chuckled. But yes, Nikolai, I need a right-hand man. I'm sorry to be redundant, sir, but I don't seem to follow. Isn't Andrei your right-hand man? When it comes to busting heads, sure. But I need someone who has my back, quite literally. You're overqualified for the job you're doing, and you've handled organizing this office better than I could have in the last 5 years. Not to mention how tight-lipped you were just now for my sake and the sake of the rest of the staff. That's loyalty. Plus, let's just say I have a feeling Andrei's loyalties have shifted. All that's left is to show you the ropes of the business, really, and you're good to go. I just hope you'd say yes. Why me, sir? I asked, trying but failing to grasp the situation. I'm sorry, did you miss everything I just said? He deadpanned. No, There are qualified people for this role, sir. People with actual qualifications. I'm far from that very true, but in this business, it's best to seek help from within your circle. I've learned that the hard way, trust me. Plus, there's something about you that amuses me, and I like being amused. Be honest with me, sir, do I have a choice in this matter? He smiled, a real and genuine smile. You do, but... He leaned in much closer now. I would rather you said yes, because I really want you to. When do I start? 1 month later. Working as Sergei's aide-de-camp turned out to be easier than I expected. Within the first week, he had shown me all that was necessary to know about his business. He put me in charge of the numbers, and by God, I had never seen that many zeros in my entire life. He changed my wardrobe, got me wearing suits, and had me move into the property because, in his words, it was safer that way. Unfortunately, I hadn't gotten over the being intimidated and attracted to him bit just yet. And with the closeness with which we worked, I doubted it was going away anytime soon. In his element, Sergei didn't seem to break a sweat. He took meetings with a stone-cold face and was deliberate in all his decisions and words. I knew he never had meetings on the villa property, but working with him also revealed why. Sergei liked to seem underestimated, because in addition to his performative lack of interactive skills, he also preferred to appear as though he had no leverage. He was the youngest Mafia lord of the current families, and his age cast a shadow among the other leaders. Appearing like he had no idea what he was doing gave him an edge over the other families, so when they attempted to double-cross him and they lost, he not only earned their respect, but also implanted his ruthlessness. Watching him in his element gave me a newfound respect for him. But it didn't help the growing attraction I had for him. We worked in his office, in private. So we were unfortunately privy to numerous vulnerabilities of each other, myself more than him. Sergei had an ability to remain terrifyingly calm, so it left me no choice but to think he was oblivious to his effect on me. I walked into the office where Sergei was sitting on the large sofa, poring over documents spread in front of him, his hair in a half-up ponytail because he hated when it got into his face. "Mr. Volkov, there's an error with the Bravta payments." The accountant sent over these documents and noticed an irregularity with the payments, specifically the ones that came in these past few months. He gestured to me, beckoning the documents over, and had me sit next to him on the arm of the couch. He scanned the documents while they were still in my hand, his hands warm and covering mine. "This doesn't make any sense. I spoke to Alexandre about this last week. He assured me it was an error. His scent was too close to me. I had to hold my breath to keep steady. The accountant says they were canceled payments, which means someone didn't let them go through." He turned to me. "How can that be?" I stayed quiet, allowing myself the luxury of being lost in his eyes while his brain sorted out the problem. They intimidated me, especially when Sergei's glare was directed at me. But at times like these, where he just looked like a confused little boy, they endeared me very much, showing a softer side of Sergei not privy to anyone. "Nikolai, what are you doing?" Sergei asked, his voice soft and low. I was just, Shit, yet again at a loss for words. Then the desk phone rang out in its cock-blocking fashion, saving me a mound of embarrassment. Sergei got up in a swift motion and walked to the phone, picking it up. "Da?" I steadied my breathing, mentally slapping myself upside the head for not being careful enough. As I walked out of the office, Sergei stopped me. "Tell the accountant to send you all the records of the payment cancellations. I'm going to pay Alexandre a visit very soon." 1 month later, I walked out of Sergei's office and down to the staff quarters. Promotion or not, they were still my friends, and I liked hanging around them. The only people in the room left were Svetlana, Olga, and Pavel. Best combination of people if you ask me. Svetlana made a beeline and attacked me with a hug. "Nico, I missed you." Too busy with Sergei to come say hi anymore? I chuckled as Olga snapped at her. "He's still your boss, you silly child. Address him as so. Oh, come on, I'm sure Nico doesn't actually call him Mr. Volkov's up there." She sulked. "I hate to burst your bubble, darling, but I do. He's my boss, not my best friend." "Whatever, so how's working Mafia business?" "I'm sorry, darling, but I'm not at liberty to say. Everything's classified." I sent her a smile, pouring myself a cup of tea. "Ooh," she wiggled. "So mysterious and sexy." "I love it, do you?" I shrugged. "Well, I don't hate it if that's what you mean, love. I'm sure it's so exciting. All the suits and meetings and dark glasses and..." She was interrupted by a sound that had a striking resemblance to a gunshot. But he had no time to react when the sound of cars arriving on the villa grounds engulfed us. Pavel looked out the window. "We need to run now. There's fire." With that, everyone scattered. The sound of the gunshots got louder and louder, and soon we began to feel the heat of the fire. My mind went back to the first gunshot, and I realized that Sergei had been alone in his office at that time. My feet turned and led me up the stairs, as the fumes engulfed me faster. I got to the floor of his office and ran in, choking from the smoke. I saw Sergei lying in his chair and bleeding out of his abdomen. I ran to him to check his pulse. Very faint, but it'll have to do. I woke him up and carried him, limping out of the building as fast as my feet and strength would let me. Realizing he might have been the target, I disguised him in a laundry basket and smuggled him out of the building as the wing went down in flames. I rolled the basket to the first car I could find, thank goodness for push-to-start buttons, and drove off the premises. Unable to think of any safe houses that weren't compromised, I drove to the one place I figured no one would look for him: my grandmother's house. End of flashback. 3 days later, I sat in front of the fire, warming myself. Russian winters are brutal. My grandmother sat in her rocking chair, peering at me ever so often while she knitted. You want to say something, Ma? Please say it. You know you don't need me to say it. I just want you to answer it. Honestly, Sergei is just my boss. That's it. He hired me because he believed I was loyal, so I'll show him that I'm loyal. And that's all? You're sure? She asked. What else could there be? Next to me, Sergei stirred, finally opening his eyes since we treated his wound. He groaned slightly as he sat up, his hand placed over the bandaged spot. What happened to me? You were run through. Bravta family, they tried to usurp you. I found you in your office, shot, and I brought you here. Where is here exactly? He asked, looking around the room. My grandmother's house. It was the only place I could think of. I figured all the other safe houses would be burned by now. So this was the only idea I had. My eyes followed the flicker of the fires, but I could feel his eyes on me. Thank you, Nikolai. Seriously, I felt his hand snake up my back and rest on my shoulder. I cleared my throat. Do you remember who shot you? Andre. Not that I was surprised, he scoffed. What's the plan now then? He tugged at my shoulder. Nikolai, look at me, please. There was something broken in his voice, a slight crack that sent a chill up my spine. He sounded alien, unlike himself. I turned to him, and his icy blue eyes captured me once again. I didn't even realize when he leaned in, and I realized less when he closed the gap between our lips. It was when his lips met mine that I caught myself, and his eyes fluttered shut. He tasted sweet, surprising, and wonderful. Within seconds, my eyes were closed too, and I felt everything. He wasted no time in dominating my lips, capturing them, and sucking them. He took his time, drawing out every kiss, making it known that he was in charge. He fisted my collar, pulling me closer to him. He bit my lip hard so that I tasted blood, and I felt him smile at that. Then he pulled away, and I saw his eyes had darkened, lust-filled and wanting. Seriously, Nikolai, thank you for saving me. That was when my grandmother cleared her throat. It is very nice to meet you, Sergei. I believe you are going to be here for a while. 3 months later. I never knew I could have seen Sergei like this. He seemed happy and relaxed. He didn't worry about putting up a front or making anyone respect him in any manner. He smiled a lot. I wasn't even aware he was capable of such. While he healed, he never let me talk about work or anything relating to the takeover. He spent his time chatting with my grandmother, a sight that terrified me to no end, taking long walks with me, cutting wood, and sharing. He shared stories of his childhood, times before all the business had anything to do with him, and how he would explore the villa and play hide-and-seek with his mother. My mother was extremely beautiful. She used to joke that she was too good for my father. But I had a feeling he knew it too. Even though he was always so hard-headed, he loved her, and it showed. I think they're the reasons I believe in love. They understood each other, and they didn't let all the hustle and bustle of the business take anything away from loving each other. Did you enjoy being an only child? I asked, while he swung our hands. I was barely an only child, though. I had a cousin, Victor. His father always left him at the villa whenever he did business, so we kind of grew up together. I had a pretty happy childhood. That's sort of why it hurt so much when they died. What happened to them? His grip on my hands tightened, and he stopped in the middle of the road. They were murdered. Then he laughed. I know it would have been easier to say that they were in a car accident, but I don't like mincing words. They were murdered. My father made a business deal with someone he shouldn't have, and it got him and my mother killed. I was abroad at school when I found out. It took a year to mourn, and I was right back here, cultivating our family legacy. Sergei shared a lot of himself with me during that period. He did things he normally wouldn't have done, like hold my hand while we went on walks, kiss me out of the blue, play pranks on me, or have extended conversations. He was a romantic at heart, though his dominating personality was never far off. He just happened to present it in a healthy way. There were times, though, when I knew he was hiding something. He would take phone calls, long phone calls, and come back, acting like everything was fine, though I knew it wasn't. But somehow, I felt I knew better than to ask him questions. 1 month later, "Where are you going?" I asked, as Sergei packed up his things and stuffed a gun in his back pocket. "To the villa, Nikolai. I'm taking my house back tonight." "I don't understand." "Yeah, you often don't, Nico. My cousin Victor has agreed to lend me some help so that I can reverse this takeover. There's no way I'm letting Alexandre Bravta keep my home and business to himself. But we were so happy here. I thought you could see that. You don't need all that danger around you. You could be yourself without looking over your shoulder all the time, scared that there's going to be another coup or whatever." I had started to yell now, my voice betraying how sad I felt over his decision. He let out a short breath. "Nico, I don't want to hurt you, but I hope you'll understand that I need to do this." My eyes welled up. "Do I get a say in this?" "Honestly?" He shook his head. "I don't want to lose you, Sergei. You can't. If you really want me, you know where to find me." "I'm sorry." He pulls me by the collar and kisses me deeply and walks away, the sound of his boots fading with each step. A lone tear escaped the side of my left eye. I should have known it was too good to be true. I was never going to be enough for him. That's not true, Nikolai. Any man who lets a takeover pass over him and he's not dead is no man at all. You weren't very nice to him. You didn't even ask him what his plans were. You just assumed he was leaving you. What am I supposed to do now? You really care about him? Be that loyal person he believed you were? I sighed. A run-in with Alexandre Bravta just to get my man. High School Musical wasn't this dramatic. Later that night, I crept onto the Volkov villa. Not that it was hard, given all the shooting and mass craziness that was going on. I swear you could hear the sounds from space. Thank goodness it's the suburbs. I was afraid, not even going to lie. I had no experience in open fire situations, and Sergei was going up against the head of the Bravta family as well as Andrei, his very well-trained ex-bodyguard. Regardless, I made my way to Sergei's office, where I suspected that he would go for Alexandre as some form of payback. Surely, as I crept up to the office, I heard voices coming from the office. The hallway was littered with bodies, no doubt due to Sergei pulling up John Wick style, a thought that brought a smile to my face. I eyed a gun next to a dead guy and grabbed it, in case I had any need for it. At least he's not going to need it. The voices got clearer as I got to the window. You're a murderous, treacherous snake, and you will pay for everything. Alexandre scoffed. I have no idea what you're talking about, Volkov. All this is just business. You killed my parents. You think I didn't know? That I was so stupid I'd keep doing business with the man who ruined my family? You broke the rules, Bravta. And I'm very sure the other heads of the Bravta family have no idea how truly disgusting you are. So what? Your father had no business sense. And I'm very sure the other Bravta heads would be proud of me getting rid of that fool. You should be too. You've run this place wonderfully for the last 5 years. And I'm very impressed with this whole show that I am willing to let you come on board and work with me. I'll forgive this attempt at a takeover. You've proven yourself a man. Now, wizen up, and let's talk business, Sergei. So what? I can get a bullet in the back of my head? You really are a coward, you know? I peered into the room and saw Andrei and Alexandre standing in front of Sergei. I figured he had very little leverage, so I aimed the gun at Andrei and shot him. The sound startled both men as Andrei hit the ground. Sergei recovered first and fired the gun at Alexandre, who crashed into Sergei's desk and shattered it. Sergei fired the gun at both men one more time to ensure they were dead. My beating heart slowed down after all the sounds. Nikolai? I came out of my hiding spot and embraced Sergei. I'm really sorry I was so selfish. I'm so sorry, he chuckled. It's all good. You came back for me always. Conclusion. Rebuilding the Volkov villa took much longer than expected, but as I had mentioned to Sergei many times, it was going to be very worth it, and 6 months down the line, I was proven right. A couple of updates though. Sergei had decided to sign over the majority shareholding to Victor, his cousin, as a sort of thank you for helping out with the takeover. He made me estate manager, which is why the renovations are taking a very long time, which again, will be so worth it. We spend most of our time at my grandmother's house, taking walks and talking, or exploring the villa grounds and playing hide and seek because he's a young soul like that. And I get to see those sides of Sergei that are only privy to me. He lets himself be more at ease, especially since he doesn't have to hide anything from me. Victor got handling the estate down to the T, which gave Sergei much more time to focus on more important things, like self-growth, therapy, and me. We grew together, happy and content. Turns out, the only legacy that my softy lover of a man needed was stability, an avenue to smile, and days to remind him of his childhood days with his parents. The end. Would you ever go back for a loved one, even if it meant walking into a danger zone? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to become part of our Rainbow Force, and consider joining our membership for early access and exclusive content. Stay wholesome.